in Europe. And today I will basically be focusing on graduate school applications and opportunities in Europe. Mostly when people talk about graduate application, they normally focus on US and Canada, which is legit, because I think the applications in US and Canada is more straightforward and they have a lot of opportunities there. But Europe also do have a lot of opportunities. And I think that sometimes it should be more profitable to go to Europe than to go to the US, especially as a master's degree, actually. So that I'm going to share about my experience in Europe and how to apply for schools and scholarship and fundings in Europe. Then from there, we also talk about certain preparations that you can make in order for you to have a successful applications. Yeah. So basically, that's all my presentation is about, and I hope it goes well. Okay. So whenever we talk about graduate school applications, I think there's always two sides of the coin that you always have to look at. We have what we call the preparation aspect of it, and we have what we call the opportunities aspect of it. So in the preparation aspect of your application, you always have to consider, you always have to ask yourself a certain list of questions like what is your program of interest? Because before you even start your application, you need to know what program that you want to apply to. And your passion for the program must always be shown or must be seen in your application. For instance, you can't say that you are applying to data science and not have any basic understanding or knowledge of coding. Now, if you apply to, let's say, a program in data science and you haven't taken any coding or programming course before, it is kind of evident that you don't have passion for the program, and it's straightforward that you might not even be considered as an applicant, because for the idea of data science, for instance, is to have certain skill set in order to do certain research. And the basic skill set you have to know is, for instance, is know how to code. And this is something that is seen in almost every applications, because for every application we have what we call the university requirements and we have what we call the program requirements. So the program requirements gives you like a list of certain things, that certain skill sets or certain experience you must have. So that's the kind of experience and the kind of skills that the graduate board are looking for. And so it is important for you to set aside and have those kind of experiences and those kind of skills so that when you apply for the program, the chance of getting to the program is very high. And your preparations is given on certain questions like what kind of program of interest are you interested in? Why that specific program? So why that specific program gives you idea of what the kind of passion you have developed for the field. And if you go for, let's say, an interview, or let's say if you're writing your statement of purposes, now this passion can be shown, or your passion for the program can be shown on how you write your statement of purpose, for instance. And these are kind of the things that the graduate board are looking for. And the next question, do you have what it takes to get into the grad school? So the question about what do you have what it takes has to do with your skill sets, the kind of experience you have, the kind of courses you've taken. So I can give you a basic example, for instance. When I was applying to my master's program, right? Now the master's program, there's a requirement that was given the master's program, which is saying that you're supposed to kind of provide a list of digital courses you've done over your undergraduate program. So the list of quantitative courses you've done, because the program I was applying for is called quantitative economics. So obviously you know that for quantitative economics, you must have like a strong quantitative program, a strong quantitative background to succeed in a program like that. And so the graduate admission board is usually looking for people who have this strong quantitative program or background to succeed in the program. And so they will make you list all the mathematics courses you've done in your undergrad and the grade that you had for that particular courses and the course contents of these courses. So if you're someone who don't have or who have not taken any, or who doesn't have any background in quantitative subjects or in mathematics subjects, obviously your chance of getting admission into this program is very low, because you don't meet the requirement. This is like the basic requirement that is needed for the program. You don't meet those basic requirements. So whenever you start your application, it's always important that you know the field that you're going to. you know the minimum requirements or the minimum things you have to have in order to get into the field. So if it's economics you're interested in, you have to know that the minimum requirement for someone to get into economics is that it's some basic mathematics courses or basic mathematical concepts, right? If you're interested in, let's say, data science, minimum requirement for you to get into data science, at least you have to know how to code in at least one language, one programming language. If you're interested, let's say finance, for instance, there's always a minimum requirement for each particular field of study. I think that it's very important that at least you meet this minimum requirement before you even began your graduate application, because when they are sampling out for you to be shortlisted, you have to at least meet this minimum requirement before any other things, right? And the last question that I think you have to also ask yourself is, do you meet the necessary expectations? So every program have a list of expectations that it is like the graduate board or the graduate admission have a list of expectations that every candidate should have, right? And this coincides with the program requirement, for instance. So an expectation, for instance, would be, what is the likelihood that when this person is admitted into our PhD program or into our master's program, what is the likelihood that person can finish the program? What's the likelihood the person will not leave the program and go and do something else? What's the likelihood that the person can succeed in this program? These are the basic questions the graduate admission board look out for. And so they're normally searching for candidates who have the abilities to actually succeed in their program. And so whenever they are going through the application process, for instance, they look out for people who have passion, because people who have passion have the idea or the ability to go through all the difficult parts in the program. People who have what we call grit. So grit is the idea of being persistent. Even if things doesn't go well, can the person still persist to finish the program? So these are some key things that they expect candidates to have. And so it's also important for you to show this kind of necessary, let me say, soft skills for this kind of stuff, right? So these are some questions I think it's important for you to know, for you to ask yourself, for you to know that, do you meet this set of requirement before you even start your applications? And if you're able to, if you're able to prepare yourself very well, the opportunities for graduate school is very easy to get into. It's very easy to get access to opportunities, right? The the difficult part is, do you meet the requirement for the opportunity? Or the question that you have to ask yourself, even if you're presented with the opportunity, what is the likelihood that you are going to succeed in this opportunity? That's the question, right? So I think that the most important part about grad application is your preparation. Actually, in this part of the world, what people do is that people start thinking about graduate school even at the beginning of their college. So at the beginning of their undergrad, they start taking courses that are relevant for the field, so that when they are applying for the field, it's very easy for them to get into it. So their likelihood of getting into their schools or into the program is very high. But that's not what we see in Ghana or in where we are from, right? Where we are from, we start thinking about grad schools when we are actually done with school, or sometimes when we are doing our national service, then we say, oh, what do we even have any plan for our life? Okay, why don't we just apply for schools abroad? So that's normally what happens here. So it's important for you to think about preparations and for you to prepare for graduate school. It's very important. Preparations, I can't emphasize enough the importance of preparation when it comes to graduate school application. The preparation aspect is so important. That's why I decided to talk a little bit about it. Right. So the next side of the coin is what we call the opportunities for graduate school. So with the opportunities, you're therefore looking at what are the kind of universities that offer admission to my program of interest. So let's say if you're interested in, let's say, data science. Now the next question I have to know is that, okay, so how to find universities or how to find schools who give admission or who offer admission to data science, right? Or who admit students to data science. Now you have to know that it is not all universities that offers admission to all programs, right? Some universities may offer admission to, let's say, development economics, but development economics is just one aspect of economics. So you might get admitted to development economics, but maybe the school doesn't offer admission to like economics in general. Do you understand? Yeah. So you have to go through the schools and let's look for schools that offer admission to your program of interest. So the first thing is that you have to decide the program of interest. Then find the schools, right? The next question you have to check is what are the funding opportunities in this program or in this university? Sorry, did someone say something? Okay, I will continue. But by the way, in case you have any questions or anything, please you can always can raise your hand. You can use your online raise hands or something like that. I don't know. Okay. All right. So and so the next question also have to check is how competitive is this program? What is my likelihood of getting into the program, right? Because there are some programs that you can look at the program and say, oh wow, this program is amazing. You are really interested in this program. However, you also have to check how competitive the program is and what is your likelihood of getting into the program. Because the programs that are competitive, for instance, the chance of you getting the program is low. But however, if you meet the basic requirements or the necessary program requirements, it kind of increase your chance of getting into the program. And I think there's something that goes hand in hand that you have to check out for. Okay. So I've actually talked a little bit about the preparation. So I'm just going to spend a little bit, just a little bit amount of time on the preparation again, because I think the preparation is very important. I've talked about passion. I've talked about your potential skills to succeed, right? Now, I'm going to give you an example of some of the program requirements that my university, for instance, required before me applying to, right? So that you will see like you so that you can understand what I'm talking about, right? So let me see if I can. Okay. So not yet. All right. So usually when you're applying for schools, there is um a list of documents they are supposed to submit. You have your SOP in there, you have your letters of recommendation in there, you have, let's say, GRE, depending on the school and depending on the program. You have, let's say, IELTS, English proficiency, and all those stuff. Now, you have to understand that each of these documents or each of these requirements have a set of points that is allocated to this particular document or this particular requirement, right? Now, usually for PhD applications, and this is important for people who are interested in PhDs, for PhD applications, the graduate board usually assign about 40 to 60 points to letters of recommendation or to recommendation, for instance. And there are, let's say, 20 points, let's say your SOP, there's some points to your research experiences and all of that. The reason why they focus too much points on letters of recommendation or recommendations because a PhD is supposed to be a program in which the person who is interested in the program must demonstrate some high level of passion for the field. Because if you don't have some level of passion and grit, your chance of finishing the PhD program is very, because PhD is very stressful. Let me put it that way. Yeah. And so when the graduate board are looking for students, they're looking for students with the best skills, and not only the best skills, but they're looking for students who can demonstrate passion for the field and who have grit and who can demonstrate that they have the level of persistence and consistency to finish the program. And so what the graduate board normally do is that when you provide, let's say, a recommendation, let's say you put in your professors to give you a reference. Now, they understand that most references are normally general. For instance, when you provide, let's say, your name of professor as a reference, these references that are provided are normally general, right? So what they do is that they normally contact the professor that you put in as a reference, and they talk to them and they want to find out more about you. And so it is important. So see, 60% of your point is allocated to recommendation. So it is important that the person you put in as a recommender is able to talk very passionate about you. Because if you provide a professor who doesn't know you so well, right? In that case, the graduate board will not be very impressed with what he might say because the person doesn't know you. For instance, in most universities, when you ask for reference, what they do is that they have like a template and when they just change the student's name and they just submit. Now, this graduate board is aware of that, so they don't sometimes for this is especially for PhD, right? Sometimes they don't normally just look. They don't normally look at the letters of reference or letter of recommendation. Most of the times, they call your recommenders and they talk to your recommenders about you and they want to find out who you are, what you're passionate about, your persistence, your consistency, your experience, the kind of skills you've demonstrated over your past studies and all those stuff. And so if your recommender is not able to convey the better about how passionate you are about PhD, the chances of getting it is very low, right? And so the way that they verify whether you're passionate, whether you have this potential skills, whether you have this research experience that you talk about in your SOP, they can verify that through your interview and through your recommendation. So it's also important that you have a strong professional relationship with the professors that you use as a recommendation because it is so important. I can't emphasize how important recommendation is, right? Okay, so now let's move on to the the opportunities, right? So when it comes to opportunities in Europe, there are so many opportunities in Europe because Europe in itself is a whole continent. And every country has a list of opportunities for international students. So they have, let's say every country has like every university have some funding for international students, right? And within the country that you are in, we have regional scholarship, we have government scholarships, and also we have what we call fully funded programs, and that's what I'm going to spend my time on, right? The fully funded programs are normally programs that are sponsored by either an institution or government, perhaps, and they are and so in this particular fully funded programs, the programs are such that the program is designed for a particular purpose, and the cost of the program is completely borne by the institution of the government. And so the institution will pay for your fees, the institution will pay for your insurance, the institution will pay for your stipend, your rent. Sometimes they can even give you some travel allowances. An example of this fully funded programs is what we call the Erasmus Mundus Joint Degree Masters Program. So this was the scholarship that I was admitted to in my master's program, right? That's 2 years ago. And so I'm going to take you through a little bit about the Erasmus Mundus Joint Degree Master's Program applications. So we are going to look at how to find scholarship or how to find funding for a particular program of interest in terms of the Erasmus Mundus Joint Degree. And we also have what we call the DAD scholarship or the DAD scholarship. So the DAD scholarship is mostly it's more of a German government scholarship, which is available for all international students, right? And this scholarship is normally used to fund universities in Germany. So the Dutch scholarship is it's also they have like a huge funding database. And I'm going to show you a little bit about, because they have so many lists of scholarship in the Dutch funding program. So it's a bit confusing if you don't know what you're looking for. So I'll take you through that also a little bit. Then we'll talk a little bit also about government scholarships and maybe a little bit of regional scholarship, but we will not go too detailed into it. Now, these scholarships, most of the times are competitive. So sometimes you can also settle for what we call the local scholarship. So local scholarship is basically university-based scholarship that usually are normally for partial funding. So sometimes university-based scholarship may cover, let's say, your tuition, but you have to find a way to cover, let's say, your cost of living and stuff like that. And sometimes too, they will also have some kind of financial aid for students, which might cover maybe some portion of your tuition and maybe a little bit of a cost of living. So those scholarships are not really, sometimes they're not enough, but sometimes, I mean, it's half a loaf is better than none. So sometimes that's all that you can get, right? So I'll speak a little bit also about the local scholarship, then we'll see how it goes. Okay. So let's talk about the Erasmus Mundus program. I'm going to actually go to the screen. I don't know if my screen have changed. Let me see. Uh, I would like to know can somebody tell me what screen they see? Like, do they see the websites? New
No,
share.
please.
All right. What about now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. All right. So this is the website for the Erasmus Mundus catalog. So I'll tell you just a little bit about Erasmus Mundus. So Erasmus Mundus is basically an European institution. So the scholarship is basically funded by the European Union, right? And so it's an European Union institution in which they have what we call a joint master's program. So the joint master's program is designed in such that there are, let's say, sometimes there are five, three, depending on the program, or six. So there are a list of universities that are providing a master's program for a particular field. And this list of universities are providing the program jointly. So it means you can have, let's say, my program was called Quantitative Economics Master's Program. So this Quantitative Economics was a joint degree program which was sponsored by a university in Italy, another university in Paris, another university in Barcelona, another university in Holland, another university in Belgium. So it was sponsored by 5 different universities. And what happens is that when you apply for this particular program, you are supposed to at least spend your time in at least 2 different countries. So my mobility, for instance, was to spend a year in Belgium and a year in Italy. Another person's mobility will spend, let's say, a semester in Paris or 3 semesters in Barcelona. It depends on the school and like the kind of mobility they will give you, right? So it's actually a nice program. And so they have this Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters. It's a whole scholarship board that sponsors or that provides full funding for different programs. There are a list of programs that sponsors, right? And so this is their website. And here you come here, this is what we call the filter. So here you filter like the kind of program you're interested in or the kind of country you're interested in, the duration of the program. So you have a program that lasts for, let's say, 2 years or 1 year, or you can also look at, let's say, the year of projects or the field of study. So we are just going to try, let's say that you're interested in, let's say, a 2-year program, so 24 months, right? Let's forget about the universities, right? So let's say you're interested in this particular field. Let's try economics because I did economics. And you can forget the year of project selection is normally how many years that the funding is for, right? So if I go to search, for instance, so these are the list of 2-year master's program in economics that is being sponsored by Erasmus Mundus. So they have what we call the Erasmus Mundus Joint Degree in Economics and Globalization and Integration. If I select this, it takes me to the website and it tells me the start and the end date. So how the Erasmus Mundus works is that they have a start date for the scholarship. It means that they are sponsoring this program within a certain number of years. So in this case, they're sponsoring the program within the year 2020 to 2026. So after 2026, there's no funding for this particular program. That's how it works. And the money that is allocated to this program is about, that's a lot. Two, it's about 2 million euros, right? It's about 2 million euros. So the whole program for the whole 2 years, they are giving about 2 million euros, which this 2 million euros is going to sponsor the fees and your insurance and your travel insurance and all the 2 years of your study, right? And the number of countries this is covered by is there are 7 countries. Okay. So usually if you want to apply for this program, you go back and you click on the website just below it, right? So this takes you directly to the parent university that is sponsoring the program. So this is a university so these are the list of universities. So they have University of Aldo Moro, they have Ghent University, they have which I think is in Belgium, they have University of Lille, which I think is in France. So these are the list of universities that are sponsoring this particular program, right? And to apply, you have to first of all go to the program requirements or go to the program in general, read a little bit about the program, what the program is about, the list of courses that the program is giving. So these are just overview of what the program is, right? So it's important for you to at least know a little bit about the program before you apply to. Then I think what is important is for you to know the program requirements. I think the program requirement is very important. So here I'll go to the requirements and deadlines. What is required? So the requirement tells you what is required for a potential candidate to have, right? So these are the deadlines. So the deadlines for this program is they normally open somewhere in November and ends somewhere in 15th February, right? And also important thing, there's what we call partner countries candidates and what we call the program countries candidates. So the partner country candidates are people who are from countries in which the universities are in. So this, for instance, if you're a resident of, let's say, Belgium, for instance, it means you are a resident of the partner country, because these are the partner universities. So any person who is staying in the country of these universities is considered as what, a resident of a partner country candidates, right? And we have what we call the program countries. The program countries are any other people around the world who are also the program country candidates. And sometimes the amount of scholarship you get depends on whether you are from a partner country candidate or you are from a program country candidate. Usually, program country candidate gets higher scholarship than the partner country candidate, because you have to pay for visa application, you have to pay for your travel and all those stuff. So they normally give you a lot of money for that. Okay, so let's go to the basic requirements. So the basic requirement for this particular course is that you have to have, let's say, um, a bachelor's degree, let's say in economics or any other related discipline, right? You have to provide some level of English proficiency. Normally for Ghanaians, we normally have a English proficiency waiver, or you can get what we call the proficiency letter from university, and you can upload that as your English proficiency and it's accepted, right? And the academic admission. So these are the list of documents they require. They require what we call proof of residence. The proof of residence tells them which country, which group you are in, whether you are in a partner country or you're in a program country. So usually, for you to be a program country, you have to prove that you are not a resident of that country. You have to prove that you've been in Ghana for at least 5 years. I think that's what I did. So to prove that you've been in Ghana for 5 years, you have to provide some list. Maybe you can provide us an employment letter showing that you were employed in this particular company for the last 5 years of your life. So maybe that you've been in Ghana for the 5 years. Or you can use, let's say, your what's the name, your admission letter from maybe your university in Ghana you are in. That shows that you've been in Ghana at least for the past 4 years. You can add, let's say, something to show that you've been in Ghana for the past 5 years, something like that. Then they ask you for your diploma, your transcript, your letter of motivation. They ask for your CV, and here there is a twist to it. It said your CV must be in the form of a Europass format. So a Europass format is normally a format in which your CV should look like. And so when you're applying for this particular um, program, you have to make sure your CV is in that particular format. It is very important, right? You have to prove your English proficiency. You have to provide recommendation. You also have to provide other documents proving skills and qualifications. So this thing here is optional, but this is also what sets you apart from many people, because I told you that these fully funded programs are very competitive. So you need to set yourself apart from so many people, right? So proving your skills and qualification could be, maybe you've done this in a thesis, for instance. A thesis could be an additional skills that you have that no one else have. There could also be some research program or research experience you did in the past. You can upload that as an additional skills to show that you have these particular skills. You can do, let's say, you can provide, let's say, a project you did using a particular programming language. So these skills should kind of be in line with the program you're applying to. So if you're applying to economics, in economics, you must have some kind of quantitative program or some research experience and all those kind of stuff. So these are stuff that you can add to your application to increase your chance of getting into the program. And I think it's something that you should have. So if you let's say you are taking an online course in a programming language, you can add the certificate of that online course to your application. That tells you that, oh, okay, this person has at least some experience in coding. So it means he has some experience in research and stuff like that. And these are things that I think is important. And here they are showing you the kind of points that they are awarded to each document you are submitting. So academic excellence students are people from 0 to 60 scores. And for motivation letter, so the academic excellence has to do with your transcripts and your degree. So whether you have first class or whether you have A's in the particular courses, all those academic excellence are awarded 60 points. So it means your transcript is very important. So your transcripts, if you have a very good transcript, it means you already have like 60 points already. Your professional experience gives you 20 points. Your motivational letter gives you 20 points. And I think your academic excellence also include also your recommendations as well. It's all fixed into it, right? So all this tells you, so once you even say this tells you like the kind of likelihood of you getting into the program. So if you have a good transcript, you have good recommendation, you already earn 60 points. If you write a strong motivation that you have 20 points, means that what kind of increase your chance of getting into the program and also getting into the funded. And these are things that I think you should look out for when you're applying for the Erasmus Mundus program, right? And so this is just one aspect of it. So you can search for other programs as well. There are so many programs which are sponsored by the Erasmus Mundus. I'm trying to go back. So you can search for here. I search for economics. So if you're not doing economics, let's say you're doing let's say arts or life science, you can search for life science. Search there'll be some programs that is being sponsored by the Erasmus Mundus. So in this case, for life science, this is one main program that was provided. That's the Global Development Policy. I don't know what that is. Right. So you can play with it and try to see the programs. Try to see if you can find programs that can be sponsored by the Erasmus Mundus, and it could be one thing that you can also use. Right. Okay. So let's go back to our slides. Okay. So we've talked about the Erasmus Mundus. We can now talk about the DAO scholarship. Is there any questions so far? No? All right.
Yes, there are questions.
Okay. Do we take the questions after the presentation so that at least it will be coherent? Yeah?
Okay, that'll be fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the DAO scholarship. Now, the DAO scholarship is a little bit complicated, right? Because it's a whole body scholarship, and they have so many scholarships available for it. So sometimes getting the right scholarship that fits your program is not an easy task. So there are two main popular that scholarship that people normally apply to. We have one we call the EPOS, which is normally a postgraduate courses. So it's a scholarship for development related postgraduate courses. They have one for, they call it the Helmut Schmidt program. There's also a master's scholarship for people who are interested in public policy and good governance and all those stuff. And later I'll also introduce you to the whole database for the DAD, and you can also play with it to see if you can find any scholarship that kind of fits into your program of interest, right? So I'm going to take you to the website of that. Then we can see what happens there. Right. All right. Okay. So the DAO scholarship. So let me give you a little bit of background on the DAO scholarship. The DAO scholarship is basically German institution that provide scholarship. They provide funding and different kind of scholarship for many programs, right? And like I said, the DAO scholarship is kind of very they have what we call a huge database for scholarship. So it's a database that allows you to search scholarship based on the country you are from. That's one. A database that allows you to search for scholarship based on the country you're from, the field of study you're interested in, whether you're interested in a PhD program or a master's program, and also other filters that you can use. So in this particular one, I'm talking about just one aspect of the DAD scholarship. This is just one of the scholarship of the DAD funding base, right? And this is called the Development Related Postgraduate Courses, which is also called EPOS. So this is just a portion, just one part of the DAD scholarship, right? Or just one aspect of the DAD scholarship, or just one basic one of it. Okay. So in this case, this is just the website for this EPOS. And in this case, I'm just going to, so in this case, we have, let's say, who can apply. So graduate with 2 years professional experience from the following list of countries. Let's see the list of countries. So it means that if your country is not here, you cannot apply to this scholarship, right? So from sub-Saharan Africa, we have Ghana. So Ghana is safe. So it means that this scholarship is for you as well. So you can apply to this particular scholarship. Okay. So the duration of the scholarship is from 12 months to 48 months. That's depending on your study program, right? Now the scholarship here also is sponsored for a particular list of programs. So here, I think it's important to go here. They have a brochure that I think we can use so that we can see. Okay, can we all see the brochure, right? Okay. So this is one of the brochures for the the Apple Scholarship. Now I just want to okay. So these are the list of programs that you can apply to using this Apple Scholarship. So they have programs in urban and regional planning, right? They have programs for agriculture and forest science. They have programs for natural and environmental sciences. They have, so these are the main programs these are the eligible courses or programs that you can use the Apple Scholarship to fund, right? And so these are the main programs here. I think there are more. They have programs for the Masters of Science, International Health. They have social sciences and the other programs. So I think there's something that you have to also go through yourself. I can't go through all of it, right? And the general information here is that usually for this particular scholarship, we have, once you find, let's say, the program. So let's say this is one of the universities. Okay. Let's take one of this is TU Berlin. So this is a university in Berlin. I think Technical University of Berlin. Okay. So what you do is that you go to the university website of Berlin and you apply to the program in the University of Berlin. Once you get admitted into the program, then the university will send you a portal in which you can apply for the DAS scholarship or the Apple scholarship from that portal to fund the application. I don't know if it makes sense. So what this happens is that you go to, let's say you go to Apple's, let's say you find a course, a program you're interested in, and you say, okay, this program is being taught by this particular university. So you go to the university website, then you apply to the program using the university website, right? Once you've been admitted to the program, the university will therefore send you a link on how to apply for funding or that scholarship funding for that particular program. So you cannot, in this case, you cannot apply to the scholarship directly from a portal. You see how we can do that from the Erasmus Mundus? We cannot do that particular here. So in here, you have to search for the scholarship first. You find the universities and program that the scholarship can provide funding for. Go to the university. Hello? Okay, sorry. So you go to the university, you apply for the program through the university portal. Then once you've been admitted, the university will therefore send you a link on how to apply for the scholarship to fund your program. Then you go ahead with that application process. So that's how this particular one works, right? There is also another DAO scholarship called the okay, let me see. There's also one scholarship called what we call the Hammerschmidt, which I will just take you through very quickly. So the Hammerschmidt Scholarship is also a master scholarship for public policy and good governance. So in here also, it gives you also an idea of the application form. You can look at through the application form, the list of countries, and also information about the master's courses that this program sponsors. So if you go to the master's course, you can find a list of master's program that you can find. So again, this also works the same way with the airports. So I've provided, so here you have information. Maybe I can make the what's the name? I can make the slides available to Macmos, and I think he can give you like a link to this particular website, right? So once you have these airport scholarships, you can apply, you can go to the website, search for the universities that this website is sponsoring for, then you apply to the program on the university website, and from there you can go on. Also, additional information I would like to add is that do not be afraid to contact the university. So you can send a university, and if you have any, if you are confused about anything, you can always email the university and ask them about, okay, what are the funding opportunities for this particular program? And I think I'm going to talk about that actually in my next slides. Okay. Can we all see my slides now? I hope so. All right. Okay, so we've talked about the DAO scholarship, we've talked about the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. So now I'm going to talk about the local university scholarships, right? Now, the local university scholarships are not mostly, okay, some of them are not as competitive as the DAO scholarship and the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, because the Erasmus Mundus scholarship sponsors is a fully funded, it's a fully funded program. So it's a bit competitive, and people all around the world is applying for it. So it's competitive, right? And so here I'm going to talk about the local university scholarship. The local university scholarship normally comes in two forms. The university have partial funding that they give to students. It's normally called financial aid. So if you're interested in a particular university, let's say Ca' Foscari University in Italy. In Ca' Foscari University, if you go to Ca' Foscari University website and you search for, let's say, scholarship, they have financial aid or partial funding that they give to students in order to help them pay for their fees, and let's say some kind of partial funding they give for your cost of living. It's not fully funded like this DART scholarship and the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, right? But it is one way that you can also seek for scholarship for, like, partially, right? Also, one important thing is that they have the local university scholarships. They'll have what we call the regional scholarships or the government scholarships, right? So most countries in Europe have government scholarship that you can apply for to fund your education. So once, let's say you've applied to a university in Italy, you've gotten admitted to that university. Even though you don't have funding, every year the Italian government also opens the portal for them to receive people who are interested in seeking for funding for their university application. And so you can apply, you can apply for the government scholarship only after you've been admitted to the program in that country of residence. So let's say you apply to a school in Italy and you've gotten admitted to that school. Once you've received admission, after a few months, the Italian government scholarship pays its portal and you can apply for the scholarship from the government of Italy to sponsor your what's the name, your Italian, sponsor your admission, right? Where's my sponsor over? Okay, so I think my time is up, and the last one I'll talk about is the PhD applications. And then, so the PhD application in Europe is a slightly different thing compared to what you use for most countries like Italian has like the direct application in which you can directly apply to the university portal and get your admission and all that. But some universities require that you seek first a supervisor from the university. And once the supervisor agrees to admit you as a student, then you can apply for the application. So that's the main thing I also wanted to talk about, the PhD application. So it's a bit different from the ones we are used to, right? So basically, I'm done with my presentation, and actually, my time is up. And I'm sorry that I used too much time than I expected. Yeah. So if you have any questions, I think I can. Magnus, is it time for me to receive questions, or how does this work?
Well, looks like it's after every speaker gives his session, then we go through the questions. That's according
okay.
to.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank
So
you, Benjamin.
I'll hang
once
around.
again.
Thank you too.
So it's great to see so much possibilities studying in Europe, and I promise you won't be disappointed in what's to come. So now let's continue our journey with our next speaker in the person of Jonathan McNeils Amoah. So he's the founder and CEO of Best Great Services. I mean, he's the brain behind this event, and he's going to offer his valuable insights in this field. Jonathan. Jonathan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, and
okay,
I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, please.
All right, so good day to everyone. My friend has taken my time, so I'm not sure I'll be speaking for that long. I want us to end the session exactly around 6 p.m. So I'll just speak a little bit about drafting a CV and the differences and what you need to keep in there and what you should not keep in your CV. All right, so the previous session, we heard one of the speakers, Isaac, spoke about the materials that you need for your application, and we got to know that CV is one of them. Today, Benjamin also did mention of the CV that they are supposed to use in the application. I want you to know that your CV is what you are using to market yourself. And so when someone picks your CV, the person should be impressed just by looking at it. I mean, I've consulted for some recruiters, helping them to shortlist their applications for job. And when you pick the CVs, you are not looking for the good ones initially. What you are looking out for is most of the recruiters, that's what they do. They are looking out for the bad ones. And so right when you take the CV, you are looking at the CVs that do not look good. And so today we want to look at some of these things. And I hope at the end of the session, we'll be able to come up with a good CV. Now, when we talk of CV, a CV, curriculum vitae, it's simply a Latin word which means your course of life, okay? And then a resume is a French word that means summary. So this is the clear differences between a CV and then a resume. People ask me, Macmos, what's the difference between the two? My school is requesting for a resume. My school is requesting for a CV. What's the difference? So a CV is your course of life. And so that means that the length could be a bit longer, okay? But a resume, it is a summary. And so your resume should be few pages. We will look at that. Now, both CV and then resumes should be targeted towards an application that you are doing. I do consulting for people when it comes to their CVs, and you design a CV and it will be like, oh, this is for one particular application. And then they will be angry and be like, oh, Macmos, I want a CV that I can use for applying to all jobs, all schools. You don't do that. Please take note of this. Don't have a general CV that you use for applying to all schools or all jobs. You don't do that. Always tailor your CV towards a particular school. Okay? We are talking about school applications today. So I will relate the CV and then resume to your school applications. So always look at the school's requirements and then make sure your CV is speaking to the coordinator or graduate coordinator for that particular course. Don't make it a generic CV. You should your CV is representing you. And so when someone picks the CV, it should be the best candidate when they look at the CV. All right. Now, I made mention that the CV is your course of life. So whatever you've been doing right from your professional life, let's say from high school, what you've been doing, you are documenting all that in your CV. And so that emphasizes more on your academic accomplishments, whilst the resume emphasizes on your skills. The reason is you don't have much space for your resume. Your resume in general should not go beyond 2 pages, okay? So if you are doing an application and they ask you to present a resume, you have to always stick to 2 pages or 1 if possible. You can consider the 2 pages when you know that you've done a lot of stuff and you think 1 page is too small for you. And so for that reason, you are extending to 2 pages. But 2 pages, you should have about 5 years of experience. If not, stick to 1 page when you are talking about resume. But if you are lucky and your school is requesting for a CV, then you have the liberty of writing a longer CV. And so that should be variable, okay? The pages, I can't give a number, but I know people, because of their experience in academia, their CV is like a booklet, okay? So take note of that. Now let's look at the pages that the subheadings that you should have in a CV, the common sections that you can look at. The first thing is your name, okay? But then you can also have on top of your CV, what do you call it? The heading, okay? Either a curriculum vitae, you can have that there. But aside that, you can ignore. It's not very necessary. So mostly you have your name on top and then contact information. This is what you should always have on the top, the contact details. Make sure your phone number is there. Your physical address should be there, okay? And make sure you have your email. The email, don't use your nicknames, okay? Just make sure you have your former name. I know most Ghanaians, we have our former name and then local names. And so some people, their local name is their email. It is their name, but on paper, the application that you are preparing, that local name is not showing. So make sure you always have your former name as your email. Probably your first name, you can add some numbers or abbreviate the others if they are plenty. Don't make your email too long to type. Just simple and then short. Sometimes it is very important to add your social media life on your CV. Okay, so I mostly encourage people to add their LinkedIn profile there. Okay, so you can add your LinkedIn, you copy the link, and then you create a hyperlink on your CV. And when you create a hyperlink on a CV, it turns to a different color. Always make sure that your CV is one color. So if there is a hyperlink, change the color to black. I always prefer your CV to look black and white. So please take note of that. And then the objective and summary. When you are drafting a career objective or professional summary, you should be concise. Don't write plenty. Some people try to summarize whatever in their CV within the summary. Just have 2 or 3 lines talking about. If it is your career objective, you write it there. If it is about professional summary, you make sure you highlight your skills in there. So take note of that. And then your education. When you are consulting for people concerning their CV and education comes up, they always want to see their GHS, their basic school, and the university. If you have a degree, there is no need keeping your secondary school there. It is not really necessary unless you don't have much information to keep there. So if you have enough information to talk about, please avoid your high school. Just keep your university education. The day that you start and then the ending. If you are still in school, you keep the expected date of graduating, okay? And then under education, you put your program over there. Make sure you have some relevant courses, okay? If it is a CV, it is good to put some relevant courses, the courses that relate to the program that you are applying. You know, University of Ghana, you've done about 140 credits, and so a whole lot of programs, but you realize that the program that you are applying to relate to about 5 or 6 of them. Okay, so make sure you highlight some of these programs that you think it will be beneficial for the program you are applying to. And then for you to make sure that you are presenting an academic CV, make sure you have your research interest over there. Keep the research interest. If you have research experience, that is probably you've worked with a research organization, you've done some internship whereby you were doing some research. That is the place to keep research experience. It is different from research interest. The interest is what you have interest in, whether you've been doing that for some time or you intend doing that. So if, let's say, economics, you are having some interest in investigating how inflation affects what, you can put that there, but it should be specific. Don't put vague research interest there. Some people, macroeconomics. I mean, macroeconomics is a whole lot. So bring it down, okay? Specify your interest. And another session that's relates to academic CV is publications. Your publications. I know most people right after undergraduate, you don't have any form of publications. We got to know that if you've not even written any published article in a journal, you can have some publications with the media houses. I mean, the online platforms. If you write something and you put it out there, you can add it to your publications. And if it is not published in a journal, please don't use publications, probably press, articles, that is different. The moment you use the word publications as the heading for those activities, anyone who sees it might think you've published it in a peer review or a journal, something like that, but it's not so. So please take note of that. And then also, if you are working on a paper, okay, which is in progress, you can also list that. And under publication, you can, if you are having a number of publications that you think you can group them, those in peer review and then those in preparation, you can also do that. Now let's look at certification and then training. When you go for training that relates to the program that you are applying for, you can put that there. And then certification, I know people do courses online, Coursera courses. I mean, you've done a number of them. Please, if those courses are not related to what you are applying, don't put that on your CV. Okay, they are good, but they are not relevant to the program. So always make sure you are having something which is related to the application you are working on. Now there are awards, honors, we have work experience. Please, when you are talking about work experience, always make sure that your work experience that you are putting there relates somehow to the program you are applying to. Okay, I know some people who have done a whole lot of work and so they want to put everything in there. Please select among them those that you think they are relevant to your program and then put that over there. If they are not, please, it's not necessary. So keep few working experience that you think relates to the program. I mean, you showing that you've done a whole lot of work does not increase any chances. It should be what the committee thinks that it is relevant to their program. And when you are highlighting on the duties, always try to quantify your duties, okay? Use verbs, okay? Action words. You supervise, maybe you used to be a TA, you supervise students in writing exams, you mentored, I mean, some people. The bulletin of your experience should be action words, okay? Let it command some form of action, and then also try to quantify it. If it is success, I train about 20 people for maybe a mass course or whatever. So try to make it look quantifiable. Don't make it generic. I know people, oh, I have method students. Those are things that when you are using AI, they provide. They are generic, but make it relatable. Let the person looking at your CV know that this person is writing his own CV. So when you personify it, it becomes better, okay? And then your skills, please. This is an area that you need to really take good look at. It is not every skill that you need to put there. I mean, sometimes people put, what do you call it? Cycling, swimming. I mean, those are nice things to know. But when it comes to academic programs and cycling does not relate, let's say you are applying to read science and you put cycling there, it doesn't relate. There are programs that you think it relates to them, you can put that there. But when it comes to certain programs, certain skills does not need. And your skills, you should always try to group them to technical skills. When it comes to maybe you are good with some data analysis too. Those are technical skills. And then also you have some professional skills that you think you can put there, maybe office management. I mean, you should try to group them in such a way that when someone picks your CV, they can easily pinpoint whatever you are trying to communicate. The last thing that I have there is references. Now, references. Benjamin just said that when you are presenting your reference, make sure you talk to them and all that. Always make sure your referees know you in a way. At least when you are drafting your CV, state the relationship, either being they were your supervisors for your projects, either lecturers or boss at work. State that, let the person's position show. Okay, I will show you a sample of that. And so please take note of that. Now, if possible, give a copy of your CV to your supervisor and then your statement. I know when you are applying to school, you write other stuff as well, especially for PhD applications. I mean, they can easily contact the supervisor. For masters, most of the time, they hardly do. They only just contact the person to write your recommendation, but they don't really talk extensive about your application. So take note of that. Now, I would like to look at the do's and then some don'ts. Use professional language. Don't use Gen Z language. My CV is giving something. I mean, be professional. Use easy to read languages and then modify your CV according to the requirements. If they are saying present a CV of 3 pages, do exactly that. And make sure you have your referees beforehand. Make sure you have them beforehand. And then avoid using I and then mine, especially when you are writing the summary. Make sure you avoid I and then mine. Do not use vague languages. I've spoke about that. And then people like to use their photos. Please don't put your photo on your CV. Some places, they request for that. If not requested, don't put your CV, your photo on your CV. And then do not include information that are no related. I mean, these days, who puts date of birth, marital status on those academic CVs? Please don't do that. And then when it comes to the formatting, try as much as possible to use languages. The font size should be visible, and then use the popular font size. Those are much relatable. Don't use font size that are artistic. Those artwork kind of font size. Don't do that. And then make sure you give your CV to someone to proofread. Don't prepare your CV and then keep it to yourself and you think you don't want anyone to see your CV. Please proofread and make sure there are no mistakes. If not, it will go out as a CV which is prepared by someone who is careless. So please try to put out a CV which is clean and neat. Please, let's look at this CV. You realize that this person has the name, the address, and then email. I mean, this is something neat. You can highlight some of the qualifications. So this is the format this person used. Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and History. So this person is talking about some skills and then some things that it's a bit catchy about him or her. Okay, so you can do that for your summary. So if it is a summary, this should not be bulleted. You have to put it in a statement, okay, either a paragraph, and then you make it look nice. If not, you can use this format as well. So education, you put education, it's there like this, the course, the starting date, and then the university. I made mention that if you want to put some relevant courses there, you can do that. So this is a format that you can use. It looks very nice. It looks precise, concise. And so this is a copy that I tried to design for this meeting. This is my CV. So when you look at this, you realize that the main headings are having a particular kind of font size. When you look at the name of university, I use a certain type of writing there. When you look at the courses, I've italicized it, okay? So you can consider using something like this. And you should be consistent. Whatever you do for one school, you should do the same thing for the other. And then when you come down here, you see some experiences over there. I don't want to focus much on that. I just want you to have a look at how a good CV looks like. We don't have an ideal CV because the one assessing it will have his or her own opinion about it. So this is something that you can have access to. I will send you a template that you can work with. So just always go out there knowing that your CV is a form of you marketing yourself, and whatever you put in there should perfectly describe you and then make you a good candidate for your application. Thank you very much. I will be on standby waiting for your questions, if any. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for that presentation on CV writing. But first, let's keep the energy up with the questions. After the session, we'll go through them and get to as many as possible. So now let's continue. Next is Emmanuel Mensah Abuaji. So he's a sociable doctoral student in international law at Zhongnan University of Economics and Law, Wuhan, that's in China. And he's a dedicated researcher who even runs an informative YouTube channel. Emmanuel.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Welcome. So the virtual stage is yours.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, I think it's good day, but then it's morning here, it's Sunday already. And so it's going to be quite a short presentation, but I hope you're going to take so much from it. So basically, I'm tasked to speak about Asia in general. However, since I'm in China, I would want to focus more on China. And, you know, basically, when it comes to study abroad, a lot of people have an eye for Europe and then the America and then the Canada and the Australias. However, when you come to Asia, there are so many people here that are studying, especially from Africa. Let me put it that way, from Africa. And so, why do these people want to come here? What is so special about studying in Asia? And so maybe after the presentation, you're going to get to understand why a lot of people want to travel to China, especially to study. Okay. So even before we go into the opportunities and then whatever the processes, how you want to apply, I just want to put something in your mind. You know, generally when you hear about Asia, especially China, there are these few things that come into your mind. That do they eat only rice? Do they eat only noodles? Their kind of architecture, and then the kind of dresses that they wear. Obviously, it's true. These are the things that make up China or Asia in general. However, the dynamics have changed. When you come in here now, you realize that it is more friendly, and then it is more like an Europe kind of something. These things are tradition, and so you cannot let them be off the system. They are there, but now because of how things are changing faster, and I can tell you that Asia, especially China, has now developed so fast such that even in the major cities that you see them, all these things that you basically see, like the kind of dressing, the kind of architecture styles they have and all of that, are not really predominant. I remember just this afternoon, last 2 days, somebody was asking, the person just came to China last September, and the person is asking me, I've been seeing this kind of buildings on TVs. Why is it that ever since I got here, I've not seen one yet? And I'm telling the person that you have to travel to the interior, like the countrysides and all of that, to see these things. So now things are much more developed. This is a personal something, you know, when you're about graduating from the university, either after your bachelor's or your master's, or yes, something that you want to continue, there are a lot of things that come into mind, especially if you want to target to study in Asia. For me, I traveled basically for these 3 purposes. I don't know what you might want to experience, but these were my experience. Like, these are the things that I wanted to experience. One, to study, to meet new people, and also to experience the new technology. You know, we always say that China is growing faster at a second annual pace, such that the kind of technology that they have is so much on high speed. It is actually true, yes, because I remember the very first time I left Ghana to China, I came with my my Techno phone that I even bought a day before. I have this phone right on my right here. I bought this phone just a day before I got to China. But when I got to China, this phone says that I'm not going to work again. Why? Because there are a lot of scanning kind of payment modes that are used in China. And so if you don't get a phone that runs on a very high RAM space or something, it's going to really be difficult. So I don't know what might trigger you or pull you to move out of your space. But I really want to tell you that if you want to also explore and study outside, in as much as you want to go to the Europes and all others, you can also equally consider China. But of course, everybody has the priority, but there are more opportunities here. So now here's the big question that you want to ask yourself. And once you're able to get these questions right, then it means that you are ready for studying outside, whether China, like Asia in general, or Europe, or even in the US and America. Why am I saying that? Because now the first thing is like, where would I really want to study? So if I'm talking in perspective of Asia, so even in Asia, where do I want to study? How do I go about it? Who do I consult? So these questions begin to bother your mind. I remember back in 2016, when I graduated from my bachelor's and then started my service as a TA, that was the first question. Where do I get opportunities? So it's like, and anybody that you talk to then will be like, you need to see somebody, you need to see an agent. Even I remember my professor then, my supervisor was like, you need to speak to an agent who would help you. But later I realized that if you become so much inquisitive online, if you begin to engage, if you begin to watch a lot of videos online, you are going to go through this. And thanks to the organizers, you also have an opportunity like this. So once you are able to answer some of these questions for yourself, where you want to study, if it is in Asia, which country do I want to study? How do I find these opportunities? On which platforms do I find these opportunities? Once you're able to answer them, then it means that you are good to go. So now in Asia, there are numerous scholarships that you can. I think even the ones that I've mentioned, I've stated on my PPT are very few to mention, because there are several scholarships that you can find in Europe. But you will also want to measure the value of these scholarships. So when you go to Japan, that is the Japan government scholarship, it is popularly known. And then the Korea government scholarship, which is also popularly known. And then just recently, one of my friends also had this Thailand government scholarship, and currently she's in Thailand pursuing her PhD. And then the very popular ones that I would hinge on would be from the Hong Kong one, the Chinese government scholarship. These two. For the Hong Kong scholarships, they have what we call the Hong Kong Fellowship. And these are only limited to like 8 students. But these scholarships basically are good for people who want to apply for PhD. Hong Kong, if you really want to apply to Hong Kong, then you want to look at their PhD, like their scholarship. It is basically like the competition is basically for those who want to study for PhD, because the slots given them are quite numerous than that of the masters. I'm not saying that you cannot get for masters. You might get for masters, but you realize that I've stated here that studentship. Usually master students who do not get the opportunity for the fellowship are put in this category under studentship. But you want to try, if you are on this platform and you want to apply for PhD, yeah, I think currently it is open, it's going to close on the 1st of December. So you want to just Google on Hong Kong scholarship, and then it's going to give you the Hong Kong fellowship. It has actually 8 universities that are under this scholarship that you can apply. But ultimately, let me just come to my scope. Ultimately, it is a Chinese government scholarship. Chinese government scholarship. And what is it about this Chinese government scholarship? So Chinese government scholarship comes in several forms. Even in this PPT, I've mentioned 4 types, but then we have several scholarship, and I'm going to explain. So we have the type A type of scholarship. The type A type of scholarship is it's basically like you apply for that scholarship through your home country, okay, from your home country. The scholarship secretariat in your home country through the Chinese embassy to the university. So if you're in Ghana and then you want to apply for this particular scholarship when it opens, then that means that you're going to go to the like the website I'll show you in a bit. And then on the website, you select type A type of scholarship, that is what you are applying. Another type A scholarship, you are permitted to apply to 2 universities. So you select your university. I'll show you in a bit how you're going to find all the information. So you select 2 universities, like your first choice, your second choice, and then you add the necessary documents, and then you send it to the scholarship secretariat in Ghana. Then they would make onward processes to the Chinese embassy, then they forward it to the university. So for that one, once you are selected by the scholarship secretariat in Ghana, you only have to do go for an interview at the Chinese embassy in Ghana. And once you get in there, then they tell you that congratulations, you've been selected. Then that means that automatically the university here in China would accept you, because the admission is given back in Ghana. So if you don't qualify for your first choice, they give you your second choice, and then the university will just send you your documents. That even the documents, they will not give it to you directly. They will send it to the embassy. Then you go to the embassy, you pick it up, and then that will be for the type A. But when it comes to the type B, that is where a lot of students apply for themselves and come. For the type B, you are going to do everything on your own. You are going to do everything on your own through the university directly. You get it? So you're going to apply through the university directly on yourself. And then once you go through the procedure, whilst in a bit, you're going to see that once you get the once you are admitted, or in the first stage you qualify for interviews and all of that, then you go for onward procedures. Once you officially qualify, the university sends you the email, and then you go through. Then I have here MOFCOM scholarship. So now the last 2, we have the MOFCOM, and then we have the ANSO scholarship. These 2, to me, are the most prestigious scholarship we have in China. Although we always say that it is a Chinese government scholarship, but I'll tell you why MOFCOM and then ANSO scholarships have the prestigious one. And then the last one, we have the university scholarships. We have the university scholarship. So these university scholarships are peculiar to specific universities. So almost every university that I know in China has a form of scholarship. But that is for the university scholarship. But the value of the scholarship differs. So for me, in my university, I came here in 2019 for my master program. And after my master program, I got opportunity to enroll in a PhD program in the same university. And I've been on the university scholarship from 2019 till date. However, I remember I got the Chinese government scholarship in 2021, but then COVID-2 was in the system. I couldn't move from Wuhan to that particular university, so I still had to be in Wuhan. But my university has a full scholarship for like the university scholarship. They have the full university scholarship, and then they have the partial university scholarship. So when you apply and then you are selected through the interview, they determine which of them you qualify for. So let's get into it. Okay, so with the Chinese government scholarship, as I said, what is it about the Chinese government scholarship? So CSE, generally called CSE, so it's an online scholarship-based something. Usually it starts from December to April the following year. So if you are aiming to apply to Asia, specifically in China, then you should get your documents ready for applications in December this year. That is 2024. Those who want to come to China in 2024 September, then it means that you are supposed to apply, start the application from this year, December, and then later by April next year, it is closed. And in May, even now, some of the universities start close. It actually depends on the university, but the last closing window is for this scholarship, the Chinese government scholarship is the April one. But in February, from December to February, first window might close, and then some schools would extend to April. So, and usually by May, they start conducting the interview. June, results are released. Then July, your documents are sent to you in Ghana. Then August, you get your visa. September, you are here in China. So that is how the procedures are. So this scholarship, that is a Chinese government scholarship. It caters for, it's a full scholarship program. Okay, unlike I think when Benjamin was talking, he made, I can't really recall, but like I think this one is a full scholarship program, and then it caters for your tuition. Then we have the dormitory and accommodation also taken care of. So if you are masters, I think the allowance for your dormitory or your accommodation is 700 yuan. And then if it is for PhD, it's 1,000 RMB. So the third one is your stipend. So if you're an undergraduate, it is 2,500 RMB. Then masters, it is 3,000 RMB. Doctoral, it is 3,500 RMB. Now, because of the CD equivalent, so if I want to convert to Ghana CD, let me see, I think it is 1.5 to the RMB. So if you are a master's, then that means that approximately in a month, you're going to get, let me see, 4,500 RMB. Like, 4,500 cedis, if I want to convert to cedis. And then if you are a doctoral student, it means that you're going to get, and you're on CSC, then that means that you're going to get approximately around 5,000 or a little about 5,000 Ghana cedis. Yeah, so that is that. At least it's some good money that you can save and then also use some for yourself. And then you have a comprehensive medical insurance yearly. Okay, so this is the actual package for being enrolled on a Chinese government scholarship. Now, I told you that the MOFCOM, okay, so I have here MOFCOM and then the Anson Scholarship. These two scholarships, I'm saying that these are the most, like to me, are the most prestigious scholarships in China, and I'm explaining. So when you come to the MOFCOM scholarship, just think about the package for Chinese government scholarship as I put just a while ago. For MOFCOM scholarship, it is between the ministries, okay, especially the Ministry of Finance or the Ministry of Finance of one particular country or commerce or something. And with this MOFCOM scholarship, once you are selected for MOFCOM, that one you also apply through the embassy in your country, like the scholarship secretariat in your country. Once you qualify for this MOFCOM scholarship, this time they will, including all the packages I mentioned earlier, this one includes your flight tickets. You get it? So that's why I'm saying that it is the prestigious scholarship. So they will buy your flight ticket in and out. When you are ready to leave China, they will also buy your ticket for you. But if you're masters, the same package, stipend, and then the insurance and everything remains the same. However, this one has a flight ticket attached to it. Then when you come to the Anson Scholarship, this Anson Scholarship is also very unique because it is peculiar to only two universities here in China. The Anson Scholarship, that is University of Science and Technology China, which is, I think, which is the 5th or the 4th ranked university in China. And then we have the University of Academic Sciences also in China. These two universities run the Anson Scholarship. And this is how the Anson Scholarship operates. Once you are accepted for the Anson Scholarship, remember, the Chinese government scholarship gives a stipend of 3,500 for PhD. But for Anson Scholarship, it gives a stipend of 4,500 RMB for PhD. And then when you enter the country, you know, just like you want to write IELTS, Chinese also have their mode of examination for Chinese language. If you want to study Chinese language, they have their mode of writing this. It is called the HSK. So once you pass your HSK examination, that is HSK 3 level 3, that is if you are studying in English, then they have another kind of like some money set aside that they will give to you for passing this examination. So you realize that you will be taking much more money than those who have not written their exam. So for you to be able to access these monies, then it means that you also have to study very hard and then get your examinations right on point. So now let's get into the main bit of it. Where and how do I find this opportunity? Now, the link that I've put on top, that is the campuschina.org. This is the official website for the Chinese government scholarship, the official website. So once you get this, like once you log in into the website, this is the interface that you see. And you realize that I've highlighted here, and it says that universities and programs. Now, mind you, the Chinese government scholarship supports 279 universities. So there are 279 universities under the Chinese government scholarship. 279, which are a lot. Yeah, Chinese have a lot of universities. So 279 universities in China are under the Chinese government scholarship. So it should tell you that there are other universities that are not under the Chinese government scholarship. I think in Wuhan alone, I'm in Wuhan, and Wuhan is just a city in our province, like the Hubei province. Wuhan alone has about 53 universities. So it should tell you the number of universities that we have in China. So when you open this official website, campuschina.org, this is the interface. Because you are new to the system and then you don't know anything about the system, this is where you have to go, universities and programs. Now, because the official language of China is not English, then this is where you also have to be very careful. So when it comes to the universities and programs, this is just a screenshot. So, but when you log in there, you realize that there is a search button. So you just like Benjamin showed us during the Erasmus one, there's also a search button. After you click on the universities and programs, then you search for the program that you want to read. If you don't get a specific program, they're going to give you closely related programs. Then you go and check the programs. But this is where you have to be careful. When you are checking for the programs, because English is not the official language, the programs might come in two folds. One, English taught, and the other, Chinese taught. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong. English taught, Chinese taught, and some of the programs are not run on English taught base. They are only run on Chinese taught base. So you should really be careful to check. If not, and then this year, one guy, although he can speak Chinese very well, but studying in Chinese is quite difficult. He can speak Chinese very well. He has HSK 5, but he wanted to apply for a PhD program taught in English. But before he realized, he had applied for a PhD program taught in Chinese. Although he can speak Chinese, but studying and writing a PhD thesis in Chinese, I tell you, there's no joke. So he's found wanting. So this is where you want to take your time. And so once you log on to this site, you check for all the programs that you are eligible to apply and the number of schools. But the saddest thing is that from 2016 to 2018, you could apply to as many universities that you could apply in China. So I remember a friend applied to 30 universities just under the Chinese government scholarship. And he was shortlisted for about 15 or 11 of them then. So I think it became so much burden on the Chinese government secretariat. So they reduced the quota. You realize that so in 2018, 2019, when I was applying, now you could only apply to only 3 universities under the scholarship. And still, just in 2021, they have made another change. So now you can apply to only 1 university under the type B. And then under the type A, you can apply to 2 universities. I mentioned that earlier. So once you go to the universities and programs, now you search for your program. So God being so good, you found a program that you want to apply and that related school. This is the trick now. Now, you want to list all the schools and then the corresponding programs that you've gotten, okay? So maybe, for instance, you came to this website, universities and programs, and then you've been able to shortlist about 5 universities that, oh, these universities, you have your programs in there. Now, you go to Google, and then you just type the name of the university. So like, I go to Google, and then I just type the name of the university that I found. Maybe I found a university like John Hopkins University of Economics and Law. That is where I am. So now, when I typed on Google, this is the interface that I got. But just check to the top right corner. You realize that usually the languages are in twofold. So this one is, you would have a Chinese language interface and then an English interface. So it was in Chinese and I changed it to English. So I come to English. Now, when you come to English, obviously you realize that they have a lot of things, home, admissions. Sometimes they don't use admission, sometimes they use international student study or international students or something. Then you just navigate that part. And then your main goal on the portal is to find either a place called scholarship or admission, okay? That is your goal when you finally shortlist your universities. So now, this is the university that you found. God being so good, I entered and then I found that I checked on Google and then I got to the school's website. Then I found that they have scholarships in here. So I click on the scholarship. Now, when you click on the scholarship, it's going to tell you the number of scholarships that the particular university runs. So you realize that the first thing will be the Chinese government scholarship. Then after the Chinese government scholarship, the next one is going to be the university scholarship. So which one do you want to apply for? Okay, you want to apply for Chinese government scholarship because obviously that's where the money is. So you want to apply for Chinese government scholarship. So once you click on the Chinese government scholarship, now it's going to open for you and tell you the kind of requirements that they need, of which I'll tell you in the next one. So they're going to tell, okay, so before you can apply to the Chinese government scholarship, these are the procedures. They'll give you the procedures and then they'll give you the documents that they need. Over the years, this is the mistake that a lot of people have done. Now, one thing I've observed about Chinese applications are that, first of all, once you open the scholarship link, it will tell you that you are supposed to apply to the Chinese government scholarship and also come and apply to the university, or like the university itself. But a lot of people just apply to the Chinese government scholarship and they forget to apply to the university. So they will be there thinking that I'm waiting for my admission, then admission will never come because the school is the first point to do what? To assess your documents, make recommendations to the Chinese government scholarship. So that by the time they recommend you, your admission is already in their system. But now people will go and do the application in Chinese government system and they forget the university. So the university cannot assess and even do what? Shortlist you. So now, what are the things? These are the general things that almost all the schools require. So I have just listed them here and then we are going to discuss them one after the other. So these are the general requirements that the schools actually need. So the first thing is your academic certificate. So if you have graduated and then you've gone for your certificate, that is one. And with the certificate, usually the university wants to see another part of it. That is the notarized part of it, the notarized copy of it. So what you do is that from the beginning, if you are making, there are two sides. I'll come to the latter, like the second part later. But when you're applying for the scholarship from the beginning, that one, you can just take this particular documents to the Commission of Oath. I believe you know the commission. Like you just take it to the Commission of Oath, or you can go to the court and tell them that I want to notarize this document. Then they're going to notarize for you. Usually they want to take the notarized copy. Then the other one is the recommendation. I think Benjamin also mentioned it, and then Jonathan also mentioned it. So two recommendations, but this time in China, it is not from just lecturers. They are supposed to be from professors or associate professors. And it is a very big challenge because some of the universities don't have, like some of the departments, maybe in your department, you only have one professor and you want to chase this professor, and it's like it will take you days to even get in. So this is where a lot of people have the challenge. But try as much as possible to get a professor or an associate professor. If not, your application would outrightly be rejected. Some of the schools will contact you that please let it be from a professor. Some will not tell you at all. So if you think that you don't have a professor or an associate professor, hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. So I will be done very soon. So if you cannot get an associate professor or a professor, you can actually beg your lecturers that this one, please do this for me. If you have a good relation with them, just beg them that, oh, kindly write on top, like instead of they just make it professor or associate professor for me. That is just the little thing that they want to see. So try. If not, the application will be rejected. And then the academic transcripts. That one too, you'd also have to notarize. So together with your certificate, you have to notarize, and then obviously your passport. And then this one, the professor acceptance letter. That is also a very difficult task, especially for PhD people, like students who are applying for PhD positions. Usually it is a good requirement. Although some of the schools will tell you that it doesn't really matter. For my school, it doesn't matter at all. Yours is to pass through and go to the interview stage. But a lot of the schools here in China would require that you get a professor who would accept you. So this is where the CV that Jonathan just mentioned to us comes in. So on the, let me just go back a little, I'll finish very soon. On this portal, okay? On this portal, when you come to this portal, when you go to admissions or like you go to academics or something, you just navigate the website. When you either admissions or academics, you are going to find something like about maybe the staff, or if not staff, maybe lecturers or the programs. You just keep clicking. Okay, if it is the program, maybe you selected economics or you selected law. Okay, law. Then they'll tell you these are the professors there. Now it is for you to write a cold email, like just like Jonathan mentioned earlier, and then also you add your CV to it, and then we trust that the professors will reply you, and then obviously, but you have to keep trying. So the advice is that since admissions are going to start in December, you can now start planning and start to write to the professors from now, so that by December, you'll be so fortunate to get a professor, and then you can go on. Then for passport picture, it is a normal one. And Chinese have a particular medical form. So on every university portal, they put a link there. You just click, you download or you can even go to Google and just type download Chinese university application medical form. It will give you a simple PDF. You take it to your doctor, you run the test, and then the doctor writes a comprehensive report, add it, and then you can send it. And then you have to add your police report, which is very important. And now your study plan. I think this one too, Jonathan also mentioned that the study plan carries a good number of points. And so you don't want to joke around with it. You want to be true to yourself and then be passionate about what you are writing. Let them feel that, like, let them understand your point of view, and then your ability to go through the program successfully is also an addition to it. And now your English proficiency. With your English proficiency, this is what happens. If some of the schools categorically state that they want IELTS, but it is not so common in China. Most of them, they will ask you that if you are taught in English, just take a letter from your university and then add it. So for the English proficiency, you don't have a problem. And now Jonathan just taught us what to put on our CVs, and then you just make a very modest CV, and then you do what you add it. And okay, so let me quickly just add something to the CV. Because you are applying for a master's or a PhD program, this is what you need to do. At least try to have a section that talks about your academic engagement. That's maybe a bit of, like a conference that you have attended, or at least a research experience that you have. Because remember that you are competing with other students, especially in Asia, you are competing with Pakistanis. They apply to China so much. So, and these people, the slightest thing that they will do, even if they go for a class conference, it will appear on their CV. So you also want to distinguish yourself a little. And because if the professors don't see this, they will be like, oh, so you've not attended any of these, and then they'll be giving more slots to them. So you want to at least do something. I'm not saying that go and lie on your CV. Just make sure there's something that you can prove and then attest to it. And then if you have any other relevant document, you can also do what? Add it, like your certificates. But you realize that some people add so many certificates that are not even relevant to the academic program. Please try to be modest. Select ones that have direct relation with what you want to study, or if it is it has an academic like academic based something, like try to other one, not like the church ones, and then the others, like the social volunteering ones are also good, but just be modest. Don't go and pack or like about 20, like not so much like that. Very, very, very relevant ones to it. And I believe you are going to be very successful. So generally, these are like the application mode to study in China, especially. And so I'm going to end here, and then I'll still be hung around and wait for questions. And if you have, I will still come back to answer them for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for that nice presentation. I think it's clear now that every one of us will be considering studying in Asia. We are seeing the potentials. So, okay, now let's continue our exploration. So our next speaker is Kingsford Onina. He's actually a versatile PhD student at the University of North Carolina, that's Charlotte. And he has passionate, diverse research topics. And despite his busy schedule, he still helps prospective international students succeed by creating content on ACE scholarship applications on his YouTube, which has over 54K subscribers. Kingsford.
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you. Welcome.
Yeah,
Okay, the
thank
virtual
you.
stage is yours.
Yes, so it's been a very crazy day for me. 7 p.m. till now, like I mean, I've not laid down my head. It's been crazy, and it's been an amazing presentation from Ben all through to Jonathan to Mr. Mensah as well. And I also watched the YouTube. I couldn't join last week, but I watched the presentation by Dr. Emanuela and my senior Daniel as well. And I think they've already done the work. One thing that I would want to highlight on Dr. Emanuela's presentation was her presentation. I mean, what she captured on the timeline when it comes to preparing for the application process from the start to the finish. And so I would entreat that if you didn't join the last session, do well to check the YouTube and then follow what she said when it comes to preparing for the application, when it comes to the duration. And then also my boss, Danny Texan, I think he did a stupendous work. I mean, and as well as the other colleagues also did very well. The one by my boss recently on the Chinese, in Asian schools, and then Ima, yeah, if I'm right, Ben too on the European system. I mean, the Erasmus Mundus, that IPO scholarship, and all those. Staffs were very, very good. So I think Jonathan asked me to talk on applying to Canadian schools, and I think that there is not much distinction from the Canadian system and the US system. So I did some simple presentations, just some few slides, just on 1 or 2 slides. I'm not going to talk so that we can have the Q&A section, because everything has been said. Everything has been said already. So let me share my screen. Yeah, I hope you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. So that is it. So as you rightly said, I finished UW in Ghana, did my bachelor's in economics, education, and political science. Went to Eastern Illinois to do my master's in economics, and now I'm currently doing my PhD in public policy at UNC Charlotte. That is just about me. So my main focus is going to talk about dealing with low CGPA and low final GPA. Before I move on to that, with the Canadian system, one thing I would want to lay I would want to kind of like strike for the distinction between US and Canada is that US predominantly gives offers in the form of what graduate assistantship, which Danny Texan, my boss, already captured in his presentation. And so I would go back and watch that presentation from last week. So and Canada, normally their funding comes in the form of what we call entrance scholarship. So it is part of the application package. You just put in the application and then automatically you'll be considered for this scholarship based on your credentials, and it is very, very competitive. They give assistantship in Canada, but not as compared to US. That is the only distinction. But aside that, the documents, the reference letters, SOP standard, the CV and everything that you already highlighted, it follows the same pattern. So there is nothing much to add when it comes to the Canadian system, but we'll be around to answer any question. But I want to just talk on this topic, dealing with low CGPA or final GPA. So, when it comes to the application process, you have your CV, you have your reference letters from professors, you have your SOP, your proof of English proficiency letter, you have your degree certificate, your passport, and other documents. Now, with your SOP, you have control over it. You can write your own, you are going to write your own SOP to suit your program of interest. Now, when we come to some other documents like some other credentials like your transcript, your GP is already determined. By the time you're about to apply, you have a final GP. There is nothing that you can do about it. It's already determined. So these are some what I call them the quantitative metrics or the quantitative components of the application process that you have no control over. So now this is it. This and your reference letters, you have no control over because it is being done by another individual. But for your GPA, there is nothing that you can do about it. So let's see how you can navigate your way with a low CGPA. And Dr. Danny, Danny made a very, powerful point. He said that CGPA or low CGPA is relative. It is relative. So I'm going to delve through some routes. If you had a GPA below 3.0, a GPA that is around 3.0 on the 4.0 scale, yeah. So let's say on the 4.0 scale. But if you are watching or listening right now, in UDS, I think UDS is 5.0 scale or 4.5. So that one too, that will be, a low CGPA will range around 3.0, 3.5, that niche. So UG, UCC, UEW, and a lot of schools in Ghana use a 4.0 yesterday. And KNUST to low CWA. I should have added that. So if you have low CWA, you're talking about second class, lower, third class, and those. How do you do it? Because I've helped people who had similar challenges and they sail through. So this is my tidbit for the session. Yeah, so I just want to share this with you. If you have low CGPA, it doesn't mean life is over. We're having, this man right here, Steve Jobs, having a high school GPA of 2.65, but look at what he was able to, or what he has done for humanity, or what he was able to do for humanity. Then also, I have this funny quote I just checked online here that I should put my GPA up for adoption. There is no way I can raise it by myself. These are some funny, things I'll just start with. Yeah. Now, what are some of the ways that you can, go about it? So now, let's say you finished with a CGPA of 2.96 or 2.90. There is always, people always don't calculate their GPA very well. For what is on the transcript, it is valid. Yeah, it is correct. Your final GPA is correct. But when it comes to applying to schools in US and Canada predominantly, yes, we focus on US and Canada. What happens is that they normally look at your third and fourth year GPA, your third and fourth year GPA. So what do I mean by wrong GPA calculation? I mean that when it comes to the application cycle and you had a GPA around 2.9, 2.8, recalculate your GPA based on your third and fourth year and use that for your application process. So that's what I mean by the wrong GPA calculation. So cumulatively, first year, second year, third year, fourth year, you had 2.9. But when you do the the third and fourth year, normally it shoots you up. That probably alone will probably be, let's say, 3.2, and that will be a plus, depending on how you performed in your third and fourth year. Let me clarify that. Let me balance that. So yeah, that's what I mean by the wrong GPA calculation. Yeah. The next one is what we call the GRE or GMAT route. So with the GRE GMAT route, basically what I mean is that you are going to sit for the GRE or GMAT. Okay, I had a friend, he did, environmental engineering, if I'm right, one of the engineering programs in King University, had a CWA less than 60, like around 50 range, so very low, CWA. I met him when I was in Ghana preparing for my program. I was like, I know with your program, if you sit for the GRE, it's going to be a very, it's going to give an edge. So what do I mean? The schools that require the GRE, what happens is that the schools that require the GRE, it is always, they receive, they don't receive a lot of applications. Let me put it that way. That's basically it. They don't receive a lot of applications to an extent because a lot of people don't want to write a GRE. They are looking for, GRE waivers after the COVID-19. A lot of applicants or prospective applicants want to sit for the GRE. So the GRE or GMAT will always give an edge. So this guy, he sat for the GRE, had around 286 or so. Not an impressive GRE score, because if you don't know about the GRE is over 340. That is the verbal and then the quant and then an analytical writing section. He sat for the GRE and had total score of 286. But I still said, I still encouraged him to apply because I knew that it is just to check a box. And he did it, got a teaching assistantship, and now he is in Western Michigan studying right now. So that is a check mark I would want to give you. So if you had a low CGPA and then you want to still do it, it is possible. I know someone personally from Legon who did, I think actuarial science or so, one very smart guy, but he had a lot of issues in his undergrad program. Probably, I know things happen. I know people who had 5 A's in WASSCE went to their bachelor's program, and things didn't turn out good because of issues that came up. And life happens sometimes. And he had around 2.14 or so in his undergrad. But you know what happened? He sat for the GRE and said that I'll prove myself that, I'm not what my GPA says. And he made a credit score of 167 or 160 something on the GRE quant. And now he's in the US doing his PhD in economics. It happens. It happens. So if maybe life happened to you and you couldn't make an impressive CGPA, and for those who are listening to me right now, if you're in an undergrad program or you have a brother or sister, please, yes, the application review is very comprehensive, but your GPA is one of the quantitative metrics that can never be underestimated. Yeah, that is just by the way. So yeah, that's the GRE and GMAT route. I don't know if I missed anything. All I'm saying is that if you had a low CGPA, consider sitting for the GRE or the GMAT for the business programs and the GRE for the sciences and non-STEM programs. Yeah. What's the next one? Hold on. Yeah, the next one is best foot forward. So what do I mean by this? As I said, application, package, you are going to put in your CV, your SOP, reference letters, and also proof of English proficiency letter, diversity essays, sometimes proposals, and a host of others. So ensure that if you had a very it shouldn't be for only those who are the low CGPA, but every other applicant, ensure you put your best foot forward. Ensure your CV is well reviewed. as Mark Mills shared a very, I did an impeccable presentation right now. Follow the standard he shared, and then, you know, ensure that you are capturing the salient points that relate to your program of interest. When I was applying for my PhD, I had not gone for any conference. I had done some local, university, my university's own conference, like graduate school conference here and there, but not like an official conference outside my university. I have not gone for, I have not published as well. So what did I do? I used my semester's projects, my 10 papers, and also used my seminar presentations that we did on campus, and that was a substitute for my presentation and conferences. So just be creative. Back in Ghana too, what I did was I took courses on Coursera, as he shared, Coursera, and also LinkedIn as well. You know, LinkedIn gives you this 1 month free premium account. You can leverage that, take some nice and heavy courses that relate with your program, and then, you know, you can leverage these things and put them on your CV. Beyond that, to try and, if you are looking into whatever program you're looking into, and there's a software package that you have to learn, do well to learn it. Trust me, these software packages, it gives you an edge. Right now, I'm a teaching assistant for a program, all because of All because of a software package that you saw on my CV. That is it. So I would encourage you to do that as well. So the best foot forward, your CV, your SOP. My boss, I think he just joined right now. He did an impeccable work on it. Writing your emails and everything. And also I've created a lot of content around these things. I've hosted professors on my YouTube. You might as well want to visit there as well, and also check what my other colleagues or my other seniors, my colleagues, shared previously. Yeah. So let me move on so that we can just do the Q&A. The next one is graduate school route. So the graduate school route is this way. So let's say you finished your bachelor's in Ghana, and you've tried application, the grad school abroad, and it's not working. I would encourage you that consider doing a master's program in Ghana. Okay. Especially those who didn't get a very strong GPA. Okay. So one, if you've tried and it's not working, consider doing a graduate program in Ghana. Or if you are having, let's say, a GPA that is, that can get you into a school in Ghana for a graduate program, yes, do so. So what happens is that after that, when you want to, if you still have interest in applying to schools in US, Europe, especially US and Canada, with a grad program already, you completing a grad program already in Ghana, it gives you an edge. Yeah, this is an in-house information. This is information from some of the graduate coordinators that I've been with. Yeah. So whenever they sample the applicants, they are looking for what, they have what we call the average GPA. They use that to do the cutoff point, which is normally 3.0, sometimes 2.75. Others go as low as 2.5, depending on school. So once they have that, they move on. What are the other metrics? What are the other quantitative things that we can look at? What are some of the things that we can just say that, okay, this person does not have? So we can just make the application, reduce the pool of applicants for funding decision, for admission decision. So with a graduate program in Ghana, I know people who did it, and trust me, my boss as well did a graduate program in Ghana, and he will probably testify of how it is applies to you. And it also prepares you for the graduate school in whatever country that you are looking into. So yes, a master's in Ghana gives you an edge when it comes to applying to school abroad. That's what I'm trying to just put across. So if you have a low CGPA, you might want to consider that. Or if you've been trying it's not working, that is another route that I would want to recommend. Probably a 1-year master's, then start putting the application whilst in the master's program, which will probably also help you get access to the professors for reference letters easily. Yeah. The next one is being strategic. So I've been saying this, scholarship is not lottery. Okay. You know your GPA is low and you're still looking at Ivy League schools. You know your GPA is not that strong, or you're not, how do I put it? The school that you're looking into, the acceptance rate, it is a single number. It is less than 20%. US, they provide you with all these things. Canada, so some of the schools provide you with all these things. Look at the acceptance rate. Now let me focus on Canada. You know, the Canadian university system, they are handful. They are handful. They are few. They are few. They are not a lot. I can probably just, I mean, from all the provinces, from Alberta, you go to, Nova Scotia and all those places. The universities in these provinces are not a lot. Okay, so you hear, you probably go on TikTok, you find people traveling to Canada a lot. Do you know where they are going? They are going to what we call community colleges or colleges and not universities. So if you're looking at the Queen's University, the Saskatchewan's, and those universities, they are extremely competitive. So with their scholarship, package, that entrance scholarship, Nana, it is extremely tough. I'm not saying it's not possible. It is possible, but with a low, profile, I would encourage you to be very humble enough, and then go for the one that you call. I'll be talking about this in my subsequent slide. But I always say that classify your schools into what? You know this already. Those that are kind of like beyond you, or you will say that, oh, okay, these are my high targets, or these are top tier schools in my program. Then the middle bet will be like the safety net. Oh, these ones, I meet the requirements, I'm fit for the program. Then the third component will be the one that you say that, oh, this one there, no matter what will happen, I'm going to get into this program. Yeah, so that is how you classify your school search. Yeah. The next one is my extra tips. This is what I'm much concerned about. Extra tips. Yeah, so we have R1 and R2 schools in US, and I don't know if Canada also leverage that classification as well. So with the R1, we're talking about higher doctoral research, schools that do higher impact research. So in US, this is how they classify the schools. The R1s, we are talking about, the Ivy Leagues, the top tier schools in the States. And then the R2 schools, they also offer doctoral programs, but the impact of their research is not compared to the R1s. So if you are searching for schools, I would encourage you, for those who are looking into PhD especially, try as much as possible to not get overly fixated on R1 schools. Look into R2 schools as well, and that will be a plus for you, because the R2 schools, I wouldn't say they are easy to get in, but they provide you with more of a safety haven when it comes to admission compared to the R1s. Yeah. So when you go to Wikipedia, you get all this list there. R1 universities in US, you get these things there. Yeah. The next one is land grant universities. So in US, the land grant universities are institutions that are being funded by the national, I think I've forgotten the name, but they are being funded by the government. Let me put it that way, simple. Yeah. So every state have, I think, about one school, one university that is considered as a land grant university. So if you come to my state, North Carolina right now, not my state, but the state in which I am right now, North Carolina, our land grant university is North Carolina State University. Yeah, and this school, they have a lot of funding packages, because the land grants institutions are being targeted to conduct some research for development in the agricultural phase and some other, these I think other things that they are much concerned about. But basically, when you Google land grant universities, you find them there. No need to just stress you on this. Trying to demonstrate. When you Google it, you're gonna find it there. The lists are there. Every state they have it. If you go to Illinois, it is University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. If you go to what place? Alabama, UBA is there, and a host of others. If you come to, let me use the states in which I'm right now again. We have top schools like Duke. Duke is not a land grant university. Duke is one of the top, one of the competitive schools in North Carolina. If you come here you will find my boss school, UNC Chapel Hill, the first public university in US. It is there, but it is not a land grant university. So what am I saying? When you're searching for the schools in US, try to prioritize at least one or two land grants universities for funding consideration. And for them, when they give you the funding, normally zero deficits for these schools. Yeah. Then less competitive schools. So this is kind of like in sync with whatever I'm saying right now. So less competitive schools, what do I mean? Let me use this state as an example, and you can leverage that to apply to other states. So when you go to every state, we have the competitive schools and then the less competitive schools. So a school is classified as less competitive by the state's own standard. So here it was recently I was doing a research on a paper on an educational policy, and they have what they call the UNC educational system, or the UNC university system, or University of North Carolina system. So here, the competitive schools that we have Duke, as I said, we have Chapel Hill, we have NC State. These are the competitive schools. So every state try to know the schools that are tough to get into. Then, okay, which ones are more safer to get into, and what are the funding opportunities available? And my presentation will not exhaust everything to be considered, because I made sure I followed whatever that was shared last week, so that I will not probably be repeating or be touching on things that have already been captured. So yeah, so all that I'm trying to add to whatever my bosses have said is that when you go to every state of interest, try to ensure that you are looking at the universities that are competitive and that are less competitive. And the acceptance rate will let you know. The acceptance rate will let you know that this school is competitive or not. Sometimes too, the acceptance rate may seem quite high, but it is still competitive to get into. And I'm not trying to kind of like put fear into you. I'm trying to let you understand the how do you call it, the reality on grounds, so that you just don't look, because admission to me is quote unquote nothing. It's all about what? Funding. Funding is the key thing. And going for interview in Ghana, funding is one of the key things for your chances to be to be higher. Then what I call gateway universities, where this one my boss reminded me. So gateway universities are kind of like universities that basically when you put in application, you're going to get some sort of funding. I know for US, Canada, they really, punished me. So when I got here, I just forgot about Canada. So yeah, I'm more of a US buyer. So this gateway university, I'm talking about Anna Maria College. I'm talking about Ohio University, East Tennessee State University. You can be writing them. I'm talking about Alabama. I'm talking about Western Illinois. I'm talking about states like Pennsylvania, they have good schools there as well, broadly, So these schools, once you put in application, at least you get some sort of funding, okay? Some sort of funding. So, and when it happens that when you're going for your visa interview, it becomes, I wouldn't say easier, but at least you have some leverage, yeah. So that is basically that. So try as much as possible. I'll try and see if I can. I'm still compiling the list, but I've been extremely busy with the gateway universities. But these are universities in states that that they give some sort of funding regardless of your academic credentials. For instance, Ohio, they used to have what they call the graduate recruitment scholarship. Once your GPA is above 3.0, you'll be awarded $16,140 out of $31,000 total cost of attendance. But because people don't like to do research, every applicant tried to put an application to Ohio, and now it became more competitive, and they kind of like, reduce their funding. Yeah, so I would encourage you. There are such schools. East Tennessee is there. Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville campus. Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville campus, not Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. We have US is very interesting. We have different campuses. Okay, my boss is in University of North Carolina. I'm in Chapel Hill. I'm in Charlotte. It is never the same. The same system, but different campuses. Let's say Ohio State University is not the same as Ohio University. Ohio State University is in Columbus. Ohio University is in what? It's in Athens. Be very careful about these little, I wouldn't say discrepancies, but differences. They are very, very, very imperative. So again, do well to go back, watch, Danny's presentation in particular, and also Dr. Emanuela. I checked some other colleagues as well, and also what was shared right now. And he captured the documents you will need, essays, emails and everything. And trust me, it was impeccable. So that's a wrap up of my presentation on applying with what? Low CGPA and some extra tips that I would want to share when it comes to US university. And then LinkedIn. He touched on LinkedIn and even demonstrated how to use the LinkedIn to search for what? Ghanaians in what? In some university. And that's what I did. Every school I applied to, I ensured I've connected with a Ghanaian or a Nigerian in that school to give me what we call in-house information. Sometimes, I mean, you just reach out. Oh, I've done this. And as he said, be how do you call it? Be purposeful with your test. Don't just say hello, hi, wait for the person to just reply. Go straight forward, be professional. Oh, this and this and that. I put in the application and I would want to kind of like reach out. Or I want to put in the application. What are some tips that you would want to recommend for me for that program? You know, some will be very, I mean, depending on the schedule, will be willing to help you to an extent of even reviewing your CVs. And I believe that the LinkedIn platform really helped me. I met some great people that trust me. I mean, I can't share everything here, but all I would say is that LinkedIn is a powerful platform that I would encourage you. If you don't have a profile, create one, leverage it, and it will go a long way to help you. So remember, scholarship is not what? Lottery. So Jonathan, that is just, I mean, a wrap up because they've said it all. I didn't know what to add again. So that is all that I would want to just add. Any question that you might want to add or maybe might want to ask, I mean, I'm sure Ben is around. My boss too just joined, and any other person that would want to share the knowledge, you are free to do. And remember, my YouTube channel is there. I mean, I've been up for a while, but right now it's still growing. People are still watching. The videos are still valid. They are not outdated. They are still valid. Go there, reach out to professors here and there. And, I mean, a host of other resources. Free schools. Those free schools I shared last year, some are still valid this year. So go there and check them, and you'll be fine. Yeah, Jonathan, I'm done.
Okay, thank you very much,
So,
Kingsford. Thank you very much, Kingsford, for the wonderful presentation. It's great to see such diverse opportunities. Okay, so let's look at the questions. Do we have any questions? Let me see
Yeah,
the chats.
I think I didn't see that one. Quickly on the Hamza said how to calculate the third and fourth year GPA. So it's basically simple. You're going to just go through the same process for calculating the total GPA or final GPA. But this time around, your credit hours will be will be based on your third and fourth year. Okay, your third and fourth year. So the formula is summation of your grade points. Let's say if you have A and A is 4.0, so it is 4 times your credit hours. That is 4 times 3, which is what? 12. So you do that for all the courses. You sum them divided by your total number of credit hours. Okay, I don't know if my math teaching is very poor, but what I'm saying is multiply your grade value by your credit hours, divide by your total number of credits for the third and fourth year.
Okay, thank you very much, Kingsford. Okay, there's a question from Adam. It says, does it matter? So this question is to all speakers. This question is to all speakers. And Adam is saying, does it matter if the department professor giving the recommendation letter, does it matter the department, the professor giving the recommendation letter is coming from? Assuming I read actuarial science and I am interested. It's on. Okay. So let me continue. So he's saying that assuming he reads actuarial science and he's interested in reading statistics, being taught by a lecturer in statistics, and his lecturer is in finance, who in this case is the best person he should take the recommendation letter from? So this question is posed to all speakers.
Yeah, I think Ben already replied him in the chat section with a very detailed response and very interesting one. So I don't know what to add, but as Ben said, definitely the programs that he's talking about, they are all linked. Finance, actuarial science, stats, they are like, how do you call it? They are all linked. So, but I would say that for if he's applying for an actuarial science, a stats with an actuarial science degree, a stats professor will be more preferred. But sometimes, because of availability issue, I would say that you use the ratio of 2:1. So you need 3 reference letters. So if you have 2 from your mother department and it's remaining 1, and that 1 is from finance, then go to the finance.
Thank you very much. And then he also asked, he has 6 publications on stock market in the Business and Financial Times newspaper. Does it really count? Because all he knows is journal publication. This is posed to us speakers, so anyone can answer that.
I don't know if my boys are going to take it, but I think it's pretty simple. Yes, it counts. That is basically it. That is the question that he's trying to find. It counts. It's a plus, as Jonathan said. Yeah.
All right. So let me add it. Yeah. So in this situation, don't use your heading to be. Don't keep your heading to be publication, but probably articles. Okay. Let it be clear to the person holding your application that this is not a published paper in the journal, but something in the newsletters or something.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And someone trying to ask, please do, Emmanuel is asking, please do Ghana Scholarship Secretariat award postgraduate students who wish to study abroad.
Okay, so let me take that. I think yes. When you go to the secretariat, they have funding for international students. So yes, they do.
Okay, nice. So Jocelyn sent me a direct message. She wants to know, with the letter of recommendation for MSc program, she would like to know whether it's advisable to get all the letters from the lecturer, or she can get it from her place of work, where she's currently working, or from a higher colleague at work. Supposing the school requires maybe a 3 recommendation letter, can she get 2 from a lecturer and 1 from her place of work?
Yeah, that is it. No back and forth. That is it. Yeah, 2:1. That's the ratio I always give people. So always ensure professors 2. If there is, sometimes it is 2. Ensure 1 from a professor, 1 from your employer. That is the key. That it shouldn't be any issue.
And she wants to know if it plays a significant role, especially if she's considering students, graduate assistantship or teaching assistants. If she,
yeah, it's so that this is how it is. Depending on the program that she's applying for and where she is working. So it will be a plus for her if the current employment have a link with the program that the person wants to do. Okay, assuming you are in a financial institution, you're applying for a finance program, then definitely a reference letter from a financial institution will be a plus. So the link is a plus, but sometimes it may not be a link, probably a supervisor, but the person can write something that would accentuate that indeed you are a good candidate for the program and you're ready for that intended program. So that should be fine.
That's nice. Sarah wants you to kindly list some less competitive schools in US.
Yeah, I mentioned quite a few. I said East Tennessee State University, Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, Ohio University, UBA, Alabama. What else? Anna Maria College. There are quite a few. Just go on my channel. I have listed some there. I'm still trying to compile them, but offhand, these are the schools that I would want to mention for now. Yeah.
Okay. So Joseph is saying he wants to apply for PhD in public policy, and he has reached out to professors in the schools that he wants to apply to, but some of them are not responding. And those who have applied, he has applied to, are not giving positive feedback. He has a CWA of 59.41, and 68 for his bachelor's and master's degree respectively. And also he has a GRE scores of 321. He just wants to know if it's advisable to go ahead and put his application to the schools that he wants to apply for.
Yeah, Joseph. That's my program that I'm doing right now. So this is how it is. Don't overemphasize your GRE and your GPA. That is a very crazy score. Like, that is crazy. The GRE score you're having right now, it is crazy. You can get into any school that you want. But what I would say is that now look much into your research interest, because PhD is beyond just, the numbers. But the numbers will kind of like put you into, will give you an edge. Because before they start reading your SOP, what numbers do you have? That's what they do. But for public policy program, you don't need any professor. I didn't write to any professor for my PhD. I didn't have that time. I just put in the application. I ensure that, okay, Professor Jonathan interest aligns with mine. In my SOP, in my research, I saw that from Joe's research interest align with mine in this niche, and then I communicated. For public policy programs, they don't have that time. And a lot of schools don't even do interview for public policy programs, okay? But for the STEM-based and also some highly quant programs, they might want to ensure that you are really fit for the program. But for public policy, you don't need any feedback. Sometimes the feedback is a plus, but no feedback is not a minus. I've had friends who applied to schools that they didn't get any feedback from professors, but they still got into the school. And the professor was like, "Oh, I saw your email, but I was busy." So that is a crazy credentials. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Let's talk and let me see how best I can help you.
Okay. So Ernest is just giving a positive. He's just like, Kingsford, it's been a while. I see you. Keep the good work. We all win.
If I can add to what you said about replying, emailing a professor before you apply to PhD. I think it depends on the school as well. Some schools prefer that you have like a supervisor before you start your application. So a supervisor is willing to take you as his candidate or as his a student. Then from there you can, through the supervisor, you actually apply to the school with the supervisor. So I know a school in Belgium, for instance, used to live one. You can't apply directly to the PhD program. You need the supervisor. The supervisor will help you draft a research proposal. You apply the research proposal with the supervisor, then you seek funding, then your application goes through. So it depends on the schools you are applying to. If the schools doesn't require you to seek for a supervisor before, you don't have to seek a supervisor. You can just go ahead and apply. It doesn't matter.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. Okay, so there's a last question from Juliet. She wants to know if you can apply for multiple programs in the same institution. Let me come again with the question. Juliet wants to know if one can apply for multiple programs in the same institution, maybe for an academic year.
Yes, you can. You can apply to different programs in the same institution. It doesn't really matter because the reviewing of the applications is based on programs. So each program director will review his application for that particular program. So if you apply to 2 different programs, they will be reviewed by 2 different program directors. So you can definitely apply to multiple programs in the same institution, if you really like that institution, But I don't think it's the best per se, because it's more advisable to apply to different programs in different institutions. But if you really want to go to that institution and you want to get to that institution, then you can do that,
Okay. So that's
let me add something to what Jive is saying. Now, if you are applying to 2 different programs in the same institution, now you have to state the reason why you are applying to the school. And mostly we talk about how you are interested in the program. And so if this is your interest and now you are applying to a different program in the same institution, then you are going to see that program too, you have an interest in there. And sometimes your application goes through the graduate school before they submit it to the various departments. And so that means one person is seeing the 2 applications before it goes out to the respective departments. So try to avoid it if you can. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So wow, I think this brings us to the end of today's event. And I want to extend my sincere gratitude to our wonderful keynote speakers. Your expertise and support have been... Okay, there's one question from Obed. He's reading Masters in Economics, that's coursework based at Colleton University. Can he apply for a PhD in the USA with no master's thesis? This is the last question for today.
Yes, I think you can. When I was applying to my PhD program, I didn't have a thesis yet, but normally they require that you submit something called a writing sample. So in your coursework, I'm sure you've done a certain project in a particular course. Probably it's better if the course of interest, if the project is in the same line as the field of interest of your PhD program. So you can use that particular project or that particular writing as a sample for your PhD application. Normally, sometimes when applying to PhD, sometimes you might be doing your master's at the same time, then applying to a PhD. In that case, you don't have a thesis yet. So you can use a writing sample, then you submit that writing sample as part of your application. I don't think it's a requirement to have a master's thesis. If you do, I think it's a plus, but it doesn't take anything from your application.
Thank you very much, Benjamin, for
I
stepping
don't know
in.
if Emmanuel is having some last words to say. Is he still here? Emmanuel.
Yes, I'm here. I think I've actually enjoyed, also gotten to learn from my bosses here, like in the US and all. Maybe after my PhD, I also try to go for a postdoc in there, I don't know, but thank you. But generally, I think let us all put in our best, this thing requires much time and energy, and then like be positive about it. It's not like, some people sometimes reach out to you and they are like, oh, please, I want to try to apply. The moment you try to guide them and then they see that it is a little time consuming or involving, they'll be like, oh, then let me make it next year. But it starts from now. So try as much as, it's not as easy as it may look, but try and put in the best. And I know you're all going to excel. So all the best also.
Thank you very much for the kind words, Emmanuel. Okay, so I think let's bring it to an end finally, since there are no questions in the chat again. But let's all remember that the conversation doesn't have to stop here. So feel free to connect with us on social media so we can continue discussing these exciting topics. Stay curious, keep exploring the possibilities of studying abroad. Okay, so thank you all for joining us today. Until next time, stay connected, stay informed, and stay inspired. Goodbye and take care.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Anita. It's been a wonderful session. And so I will have to say a big thank you to our speakers again, Kingsford, Emmanuel, Mr. Isaac, and then Danny Texan, Dr. Emmanuel, Jive. You guys have been so wonderful. Some of you were on the first meeting that we had in 2021, and you are still here with us. Thank you so much. And see you guys some other time. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you too.